think we should be live and ready to rock and roll. So I just want to say good evening to everybody. Happy Thursday. I haven't been on in I think probably like 2 weeks we haven't been on. Having conversations about credit and how to fix your credit and things you could do to help your credit score improve and things that really put you in a really good sort of financial situation. So let's spend a little bit of time tonight talking about some of that stuff. If you don't know, I played this game on Instagram, right? Where you basically ask a question. Let me scoot up. You basically ask a question. You put it out there and people can ask you whatever they want. So last week, or maybe a week and a half ago, I recorded some of the questions that people had about ways to improve, ways to fix their credit. And I have some answers for you. So I want to spend time talking about some of that stuff tonight. So if you bear with me, we can boogie and we can get started. All right. So here's one of the first questions that we got, right? So the question is very, very simple. It's on the bottom of your screen. And no doubt some of you guys may have some of these same questions as well. So the first one is, should I close any credit cards that are not in good standing? Should I close credit cards that are not in good standing? So this is a loaded question, and I wish I could give you a straightforward answer like yes or no, but the truth of the matter is that it really sort of depends on what's happening with your specific credit situation. That's really what it boils down to. So a couple of things I want to talk about. Number one, if you have a credit card account that you're not using and it's in good standing and it's just there, you might want to consider keeping it if you're trying to boost your credit score, right? Because part of the name of the game of improving your credit score happens to be this little word called utilization. So it's basically how much credit you have available versus how much credit you're using, right? Now, some credit cards charge you an annual fee, right? Some credit cards don't charge you an annual fee. If you feel like this credit card account and the fee is too much to handle, then you might want to consider saying, you know what, let me weigh this out, right? Or you might say, you know what, this $79 a year ain't really a whole lot. I can deal with that. Let me hold on to the account, right? So that's why I can't really give you a yes or no answer. Now, credit card accounts that are not in good standing, let's talk about what we can do. So number one, let's think about the limit. If your limit on this credit card happens to be a number that helps you out in the long run, $2,500, $3,000, $5,000. If that's the limit that the credit card company gave you, you might want to consider holding on to that, right? Because what happened is that if for some reason, you don't, wait a minute, somebody says they can see me. Can you guys hear me? You guys can hear me okay, right? I think so. Yeah, I think you guys can hear me. Okay, cool. So I just got a message. Someone said that they couldn't hear me. So I was like, wait, can you guys hear me? But I think we're good. I think we're good to go. Yeah, you guys can hear me. Okay, so if the credit card is like a $4,000 or $5,000 limit, you might want to consider getting the account in good standing, because what happens is that let's say you've only got $10,000 of credit that's available that you have that's assigned to you. Well, if you close an account that has like $5,000 of it, then you just slashed in half your available credit. You just slashed that thing in half by 50%. So now you've only got 5,000, right? And let's just say you happen to owe $3,000 on the next one. Now your utilization is at like 60, 65%. So your credit score is going down. So it all depends on like what's happening with your situation to determine if you should close a card or keep a card open. I always say if the card is in good standing, keep it in good standing, right? Because not only is utilization part of the name of the game, but maturation is as well. So not only how much credit you are or are not using, but also how long this credit account has been in good standing or in bad standing makes a difference in terms of your end credit score. So you got to be careful with closing accounts and keeping accounts open. And then two, let me just go one more step further. So let's just say, all right? You had some negative payment history, 30 days, 60 days, you brought the credit card back current, then you went 30 days again, you brought it back current, then you went 30, then you went 60, then you went 90, then you brought it back current, right? All that negative history can be shown on your credit report. Now, if you've got all that negative history shown on your credit report, and you're trying to clean your credit up or restore your credit, chances are you might want to consider, okay, maybe knocking that off of your credit report. I'll tell you why. Because even though the account may be in good standing right now, it wasn't in good standing before. And if you're trying to improve your credit and your credit score gets improved and your credit situation looks good and you go and now you want to apply for a mortgage, well, guess what? Mrs. Underwriter now is going to take a look at your credit history, and she's going to see this account that you had with Capital One. And although it might be in good standing today, she has to size you up based on the activity that's available to her, right? So she needs to assess the risk, right? And then if there is risk, she needs to mitigate the risk. Well, guess what? Now that we can see that you were 30, 60, 90 days past due, Miss Underwriter's gonna say, oh, no, wait a minute. Now you may have decent credit score now, you may be caught up, but look, what was going on last year at this time? How do I know this won't happen to me or to us once we grant you a line of credit? So now, because you have presented yourself to be a risk, I now need to either increase your interest rate or require that you pay a larger deposit, or you know what, I'm sorry, there are other people who are in a much better situation. I'm gonna have to decline your application. You see what I'm saying? So it just depends on where you are in the situation. It's just not black and white in terms of what accounts you should keep open and what accounts you should close. But a rule of thumb, all right, let's just round it out with this. A rule of thumb is that if for some reason the account has been in good standing, let's keep it in good standing. Even if it has an annual fee, find the money to pay it, because that's gonna help your credit account out, your credit score out in the long run, okay? So I hope that that makes good sense to you, okay? All right, next question. Someone says, I am currently paying a debt. How can I get it removed from my credit report? Okay, now this is a loaded question, okay? Because typically all of these are loaded questions, FYI, right? Because typically what happens is that if you're paying on a debt, typically it's in collections, right? You're not paying on an account that's open, right? The key word here is I'm paying on a debt. So now at some point, that means that not only do you have negative marks from the original creditor, let's call it Sprint, right? But now Sprint has sold that debt to Enhanced Recovery Associates, right? Now Enhanced Recovery is after you for the actual debt itself, right? So now you're in a two-tone situation where you have two things we're looking at on your credit report that are not in great standing at all. So we got to figure out how we work this out. So if you're paying on the debt, you have to be careful with disputing the debt, which is why I always say, if you work with a company like mine, like Above 701, I don't want you paying on debt. Okay, I'm just gonna be very honest with you. If you have something in collections and it's already hit your credit report, let it stay, because chances are we can work to have something deleted and removed from the credit report without you having to pay for it, which means that saves you money in the long run. Now, if you start making payments on a debt and then you dispute the debt, guess what? When we go through the actual dispute process and we tell the credit bureaus, Equifax, TransUnion, or Experian, hey, so-and-so, this debt is not theirs, it shouldn't be there, let's start the investigation process, that creditor is gonna be like, well, so-and-so just made a payment on this debt 2 weeks ago. Of course it's theirs. You see what I'm saying? So you got to be careful when you talk about paying debt. You got to be careful when you're talking about, you know, paying down debt and then also trying to have it removed. I would say that if you've got debt on your credit report, let it stay there, right? And if you're working with a reputable company like Above 701 that's going to work to get the items removed from your credit report, then it puts you in a better situation that you don't have to pay. So if you don't have to pay, you don't have to pay. You see what I'm saying? Now, this doesn't absolve you from the debt. The debt is still yours. Okay, this is a big misnomer, a big miscommunication, a big, people just don't know. Just because something is removed from your credit report doesn't mean you still don't owe for the debt. You still owe it, right? but the penalty that the credit bureau has to, or the creditors have against you is no longer there, and that is to use it against you by putting it on your credit report. Once it's removed, so they can't do anything else. Doesn't mean you don't owe it, okay? It still means you owe the debt. It just means they could no longer report it on your credit report, which means you do what you want, okay? So we call that legality versus morality, all right? And we know what happens when it comes to business, okay? Just a little FYI. All right, here we go. The next question is, can inquiries be removed or deleted from my credit report? Absolutely. Absolutely. Hard inquiries can be removed from your actual credit report. Very simple to do. This is not very difficult to have these removed. Now, you got to be careful, okay? Because a couple of things I'm going to tell you about hard inquiries. One, they negatively impact your credit report for up to 12 months, right? So up to a full year, this could negatively impact your credit report. A hard inquiry is anytime somebody else checks your credit, not you, all right? Anytime somebody else runs your credit for a decision. This is a mortgage company. This could be a line of credit. This could be going to buy a car. This could be looking at a payday loan. This could be any of those things, right? Except for things that are like a background check or employment verification, that kind of thing. That's a soft inquiry, right? But anything that looks at your credit history in terms of granting you a line of credit of some sort, that is considered a hard inquiry, negatively impacts your credit score for up to a year, right? Now, this is where you got to be careful with the hard inquiries. Some hard inquiries can be justified, some cannot. Here's what I mean by the hard inquiries that can be justified, right? If I am going to open up an American Express account, American Express runs my credit, they grant me a line of credit based on my credit history, all is well. That justification for that hard inquiry and subsequently my credit score dipping because of the fact that I have a hard inquiry is justified. No harm, no foul. I'm looking for credit. They granted me credit. My score dipped 9 points because of it. Boom, we're good to go, right? Where you get into trouble is that when you're working to have your credit repaired, and this is what I see, I'm gonna just be honest with you. I see this all the time. People are my clients are working with me and their credit scores are going up. Their credit scores are improving. Their scores have gone up 75 points. Boom. What do? They go look for credit. Okay? We're not even done. You started at 475. You're at 525. Chill out. Okay? They go and they look for credit immediately. And then what happens is that they get knocked back down because when they go look for credit, that hard inquiry dips your credit score. So now you got a hard inquiry on your credit report and you don't even have the item or the thing you were actually seeking to begin with, right? So you were looking for a credit card from Chase. Chase denied you. You still have a hard inquiry. So now you got a hit on your credit report and you don't have the new credit card from Chase. You see what I'm saying? So you have to be very careful with that. Now, what happens in the long run, even though it negatively impacts your credit report for up to a year? Absolutely, this is definitely live, y'all. I'm live. It is 10:19 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm live on Thursday. So if you get a hard inquiry on your credit report, and even though it affects your credit score for up to 12 months, here's what happens on month 13 through month 24, all right? You go and you apply for credit, right? That hard inquiry is still sitting on your credit report. That hard inquiry from 18 months ago has not been removed, right? Underwriters are gonna look at your credit report. They're gonna go, wait a minute. Now, 18 months ago, I can clearly see you applied for a line of credit with Chase. I can see it right here, clear as day. When I look at the actual accounts that are on your credit report, I don't see a Chase account. Why do you have a hard inquiry from Chase without a subsequent account that Chase would have given you? What that looks like to me is a red flag that you were looking for credit and you actually got denied for the line of credit. Why'd you get denied for a line of credit 18 months ago? What was going on? Because I can't figure this out. I have to mitigate the risk. So I have to increase your interest rate. You have to pay more of a down payment, more of a deposit, or I have to decline your application altogether. So when you're looking for credit, you have to be very careful. Now, here's the biggest thing about a hard inquiry I can tell you, all right? The biggest thing, and I preach this over and over and over again. Please hear me carefully. I have several clients who've gone through this, and they come back to me and they go, oh my God, I didn't know. Oh my God. Here it is, okay? When you're looking to buy a car, you need to understand that that dealership is only concerned about a bank giving you a loan. They don't care how many banks they have to go through to get it. So what will happen is they're going to submit your credit application to Ally Financial, Wells Fargo Dealer Services, Chase Auto Finance, Premier Auto Finance. They're going to submit it to as many Santander Consumer Service. They're going to submit your credit application to as many banks as they can, right? Every time they submit your credit application to a bank, your credit score is dipping 9 to 12 points every single time. So you say, Darius, I know my credit score increased. I only wanted to go look for a car. They said they were going to run my credit one time. Why did my credit score go down 60 points? That's because they ran your credit multiple times to get the best deal, okay? So you got to understand. Now, I'm not telling you not to go look for a car if you need one. I want you to understand the risks that are involved when you do that, because the finance company, the finance manager at the dealership, and the salesperson at the dealership is not going to tell you this information. You're going to look up and wonder, why is your credit score so low? Well, that's the reason why your credit score dips so much. And if you don't get qualified for a deal because you have to put down more of a down payment, more of a deposit, you walked out the dealership with 60 points less on your credit, so your credit score is dipped 60 points and you still don't have a car. Or if you do, you have to come back and put down $15,000 down on a 2012 Honda Accord. You know what I'm saying? When that thing ain't worth but 18, okay? You gotta be very careful with that. So the way around that, this is what I always tell my people, is that if you can, if you're not in a situation where you're financially fluent, right? Get a relationship with either a smaller bank or with a credit union. Get a relationship with them, right? Because what will happen is that you can go to that credit union with your good credit now, and you can go and say, I want to get a loan for a car, right? They'll run your credit. They'll give you the pre-approval. You go to the dealership with the pre-approval. You get what you qualify for at the dealership. All is well. You see what I'm saying? Now you don't have to go through the traditional means of going through a finance company or going to the finance department at a dealership, being there all day and having your credit score dip like 60 points. Okay, so that's it for hard inquiries. I don't want to exhaust the subject, but I want to give you enough information so that you know what happens with a hard inquiry. So yeah, they can be deleted. As a matter of fact, part of my process that I work with my clients is anything that I always dispute negative information. And so negative for me is going to be any hard inquiries that are on your actual credit report and you don't have an interest-bearing account to go with it. I want those removed and deleted from my actual client. So yes, they can come off and they can be deleted, but you got to be very careful about what happens with hard inquiries. Okay, so that's it. All right, that's your hard inquiry. Let's go to another question. All right, so someone says here, all right, in repair mode, when should I apply for more credit cards? Never. Okay? Never. Do not apply for more credit cards while you are in repair mode. Okay? And I know what happened. I'm telling you, this happens at least 4 times a month. Okay, I'm up to like four, almost 500 clients, right? And I can tell you right now, what happens is my people get so excited. My credit score went up 100 points. Darius, what can I do? I want to help out. Do nothing. Stop. Don't do a thing, okay? Don't do anything. Let me continue to work on the process, or whoever's working on your credit, let them go through the process. There's a lot more work that has to be done. And there's a lot of things that we can do on our side to get your scores pretty high without having to add additional credit that you have to apply for. Let us get you high first, right? Because it's also about maturation. So what will happen is that you might jump into the 680s or the 690s. But if you're not there for 3 months and you go apply for a credit card, you're still gonna get denied, because it's not just about your credit score. It's not just about utilization, it's about maturation. So it's about how long you've had these accounts in good standing. So you gotta be very careful, okay? I want you to be very careful when it comes to trying to look for more credit while you're in repair mode. Wait until you're done, right? Now, I will say this. When you work with me, a couple things I do for you is I will look for positive credit that we can actually add to your credit report. So there's some credit builder accounts that are out there. Sometimes we look at rental history, depending upon how that works out. And then I've got a couple of other partnerships where we get a couple of $1,000 of positive credit added to your credit report. It's not a trade line. This is in your own actual name. And it's really, really, really cool. So this is just part of the process, because I want to get you above 701 as quickly as possible. And the quicker you get above 701 and the quicker I have those receipts, the better it is for both of us. You see what I'm saying? So I'm trying to get you there as soon as I can. All right. All right, let's keep going to the next question. All right, so someone says, oh, we did this already. Can inquiries be deleted? Yes. Let's see. Oh, I'm going backwards. Okay, here we go. Is it good to pay collection agencies? All right, is it good to pay collection agencies? No. No, never. Okay, listen to me. Okay, never, ever, 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 ever pay off a collection. Okay, everything that's on your credit report can be challenged, including accounts that might be in a collection status. If you start negotiating or you start accepting receipt of information from a credit bureau, they're going to document that, okay? And the moment they document that, what happens is that you can no longer easily dispute the information anymore, right? So you've already defeated yourself before we've even gotten started. If we tell you, oh, I'm gonna, you know what, just pay 40% of the debt and it's paid. Don't you believe it. That is a ploy. Now, you might only be responsible now for 40% of the debt, and that's fine, right? But what happens is that it's gonna show negatively on your credit report for the next 7 years. So it's gonna show on your credit report that, yeah, it's paid, but guess what? It's a paid collection, which means that that's a negative item on your credit report that we no longer can get easily removed. Guess what? Even though you paid it, you go and you apply for whatever you're gonna apply for, Mrs. or Mr. Underwriter is now going to go, well, what is this we have here with our red pen? Is this a paid collection? Oh my gosh, this was in collection for how long? And then it was paid off? Oh my goodness, well, this could be us. And if this could be us, I don't want us to be in this situation. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to deny your application and you're right back where you started. So listen, here's what I always say. If you work with a company like mine, above 701, my job is to get your credit score above 701. I'm gonna go after all those negative items first, which means the collection items. Right now, I'm getting 9 out of 10 deleted, Doc. You see what I'm saying? I'm getting about 90% of the negative items that are on your credit report deleted, like really, really easily. And my clients who are watching me live right now can testify and let you know, yeah, you know what? This was on that medical bill is gone. Those credit cards are gone. You know, I can work to get those items taken off for you, right? Now, if you're in a situation where we just have to end up spending some money, it's a whole lot better to be where we're paying 10% versus 100%. You see what I'm saying? I see my people on Periscope are saying true. Yeah. I'm live right now on Periscope. I'm live on both Facebook pages and I'm live on YouTube. And I have clients who are watching on obviously all 4 platforms. And I've got my people who are on, I see you guys on Periscope like, yup, amen. That's me, amen. Absolutely, right? So if I can get you to a situation where your credit scores are going up, and you're only responsible for 10, 9, 8, 7%, right? Then we're in a much better situation than 100%, all right? So should you ever pay your collection? No, don't pay it. Because when you do, it puts you in a really bad situation. Even if you pay it off, right? And you pay half of it or whatever they want you to pay for the next 7 years. Now you got to pay collection. And because you paid it with a check or with a credit card receipt or whatever they have, a transaction situation, it's going to be very difficult to have that item disputed for you, all right? So be careful when it comes to that, all right? All right, so let's go to our next question, which is, how can I bounce back from a repossession? Dun, 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 dun. How can I bounce back from a repossession? Now listen, I know what they tell you. They say, oh my gosh, student loans, you can't get removed. Liens, you can't get removed. Levies, you can't get removed. Bankruptcies, you can't get removed. Child support, you can't get removed. Evictions, you can't get removed. Repossessions, you can't get removed. I know what they say, okay? I know what they say. I have proof, and I've shown you guys on social media, that these are actually items that can be removed. I'm just gonna preach to you real quick, all right? I want you to understand that any and everything on your credit report can be disputed, okay? It can be challenged. Any and everything on your credit report can be challenged. Let me say that one more time for the people in the back, okay? People who bought their tickets late. Any and everything on your credit report can be challenged. I'm gonna say it one more time because I know how y'all are. Thomas was like, Jesus, I don't believe you. And Jesus was like, but the nail prints, you see them. The nail prints are in my hands. Listen to all you doubting Thomases out there, okay? Any and everything on your credit report can be challenged, okay? Any and everything on your credit report can be challenged. This means the repossession that's on your credit report, guess what? It can be challenged. Now, you got to understand a couple things about repossessions, okay? Timing is everything when it comes to a repossession. Those people can come and get your car tomorrow, right? And it'll be 6 months before the repossession shows up on your credit report, all right? So you gotta understand timing about this thing. And not only that, but you also gotta understand which credit bureau they're going to hit. Much like doctors' offices, 6 times out of 10, let's just do that. 6 times out of 10, that repossession is not on all 3 of the credit bureaus. It might be on 2, it might be on 1. It could be on all 3. You see what I'm saying? But there are absolutely a lot of times when those repossessions, especially when the debt has been sold, those repossessions don't hit all 3 credit bureaus. So you gotta be pretty smart and pretty savvy about what's going on. And if you're working with somebody who's worth their dispute letters and worth their knowledge, worth their weight in their knowledge of the Fair Credit Reporting Act, then they'll be able to use the timing factor to work in your favor when it comes to a repossession, which means that, listen, if you know the car is about to get taken, work with a credit restoration situation, a company, or whatever the case may be. Find you somebody who can work this thing out for you, because yes, in fact, it can be. Do not negotiate with the agency, and this could be the debt collection agency or the original creditor. No negotiation. Let it just hit. Sometimes they'll come get the car, and sometimes all that'll be shown on your credit report is just the negative history. The repossession never even shows up sometimes on your actual credit report. So you got to be pretty smart and pretty savvy about what's actually being shown. One of the ways we do this effectively with Above 701 is I believe that all of my clients should have access to their own credit information. So all my clients sign up for an account with Credit Check Total. Now, Credit Check Total is Experian's comprehensive tool that allows you to check all 3 credit bureaus at any given point. There's a monitoring system. It monitors if there's any hits to your credit, it sends you an alert. If there's any increases to credit, whatever, you get a new credit increase, a new credit limit, a new decrease. Any and everything that happens, you get an alert. It's one of the most comprehensive systems out there. Now, TransUnion does have one, and Equifax has one called eConsumer. But they're kind of wonky, and Equifax had a couple of issues, and so we still testing the water with Equifax. We waiting on Equifax to get back right with the Lord, because they ain't back right yet. You see what I'm saying? They ain't repent. Okay, so we're gonna work with Experian. It's an amazing tool that monitors. So I put this tool in the hands of all of my clients, right? So they can check at any given point and see, you know what, Darius, you're right. This didn't show up on my credit report yet. Wow, I thought it was gonna show up. Now, it might come later on, but at least you know when it hits and when it doesn't hit. You see what I'm saying? So all the other ones are good too. TransUnion has a decent one. Equifax has it, but the best one out there is Credit Check Total from Experian. So anyway, bouncing back from a repossession, find you somebody you can work with, a reputable company like Above 701 that you can work with that can help you out. And then what we do, not only is the repossession a situation, because listen, between you and me, ain't nobody on here but just you and I, okay? Ain't nobody, it's just, I'm live on I'm all over live, but ain't nobody watching this but you and I. That's all that's here, just me and you. We talk to each other, right? We gonna have a conversation. I know the repossession ain't the only negative thing on your credit report. You see what I'm saying? If the repossession was the only negative thing on your credit report, the repossession wouldn't be on your credit report. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, 9 times out of 10, you got the repossession, you got a couple of late payments, a couple of charge-offs, a couple of collection items, a couple of doctor's bills. Listen, I know, I'm not here. There's therefore now no condemnation for those who are in Above 701. I'm not here to judge you, I'm here to help you. You see what I'm saying? So here's the deal. Bouncing back from repossession is not just handling the repossession. It's a comprehensive look at everything that's got your whole credit situation out of whack. Your negative items, your hard inquiries, your incorrect data, your erroneous information, your double and triple amounts of your debt that's incorrect and shown erroneously on your credit report, right? It's all these items. It's looking at even your items that are in good standing and looking at the negative history associated with those items in good standing, keeping it in good standing and still challenging the fact that you were 30 days past due 4 months ago and it dropped your score. So it's all these, it's a combination of a comprehensive look at all these things to put you on the right path. So bouncing back from a repossession, in the short answer, is not just simply handling the repossession, but everything associated with getting you back on the right track. Okay? Okay, good. All right, so here we go. Am I responsible for charge-off accounts? This is a good one. This is a really good one, okay? Am I responsible for charge-off accounts? Hell no. You are not responsible for charge-off accounts. Hell no. Don't you even accept the fact that you have a charge-off account and you're responsible. Let me tell you what happens, okay? Here's the best way I can describe this for you. Anytime you pay on anything you owe, so let's say you pay your cell phone bill, you're paying your mortgage, you're paying your credit card bill, guess what? That's revenue for the creditor, right? Anytime you pay, it's revenue for the creditor. The creditor has to write this down as revenue, right? 9 times out of 10, they take away any expense and they have to pay taxes on what's called profit, right? That's how it works. You pay them, they pay taxes. Boom. I have a company. I have, Darius Cooks LLC. I sell cookbooks. It costs me money to make the cookbooks. You pay me. I deduct my initial amount of whatever the expenses are, whether that be postage, labor, material, you name it, cost of goods sold. I deduct that off. What's left over is profit. I'm responsible for paying taxes on profit. That's how the business works, right? Now watch this. Reverse that, okay? You now don't pay on whatever it is you owe. Now when you paid it, you had to pay taxes. If you don't pay it, they get a tax break, okay? Why? Let me say that one more time. This could be a little confusing. When you pay your creditors, okay, they have to pay taxes on that, right? When you don't pay them, guess what? They don't pay taxes. That means it's a tax break. Whatever it is that you owe that they charged off is now considered an expense, right? So since it's considered an expense, that company now is not paying taxes on whatever it is that you owe. They charged it off, which means they don't have to pay taxes. Guess what else that means? You're also not responsible for it as well, okay? So it's very, very, very easy to get charge-offs removed from your credit report, all right? It's very, very, very easy to get charge-offs. So absolutely, you are not responsible for accounts that have been charged off, okay? There you go. All right, let's go for our next question. Someone says, how do you remove fraud from your credit report? All right, very simple. All right, everybody cries fraud when they got bad credit. So let's be careful that we are truly identifying this as fraud and not just a situation where we've got bad credit, right? All right, because if you've gotten fraud, or you've got fairly decent credit, then you should have a comprehensive tool that alerts you anytime an inquiry is run on your credit report, anytime a new account is added to your credit report, anytime an account is closed on your credit report. It should alert you at any given point so that you know exactly what's going on at any given time, right? So if there is fraud on your credit report, then you can contact the credit bureaus. You can put a little flag on your credit report, and they go through extra steps and extra security when it comes to, you know, having to run your credit in the future. And then you can look at some of those items and say, this is fraud, those can be challenged, this, that, and the third. You could also very easily work with a company like mine that don't normally disputes these types of items with people who have bad credit, and then this could also be removed from your credit report. So it's pretty easy when it comes to fraud, but let's just make sure it really is fraud and not just a situation where you've got bad credit. You see what I'm saying? Because you know how we do, okay? You know how we do, all right? Okay, let me see. Hold on, I'm trying to get the rest of this on here. Let's see. Here's another one. Which one do I want to add? Wait a minute. Hold on. I want to add this one. We took care of that one. All right, here is another one. How do I boost my credit score quickly? That's a good one, okay? How do I boost my credit score quickly? Listen to me. I want you to hear me carefully, okay? If you ain't heard nothing else I said tonight, I want you to listen carefully and hear me out on this particular situation. Amen? Amen. Okay, come on, saints. There is no quick fix to restoring your credit. There is no quick fix to restoring your credit, okay? You did not get where you are overnight. You are not going to reverse the damage that was done overnight. There are way too many factors that go into credit restoration. And even if Mercury wasn't in retrograde and all those factors aligned perfectly, it would still take time to have your credit score increased, all right? First of all, we need to look at a couple things. I see people saying, get a new credit card, put a higher limit. Let me tell you what that's like. You know what getting a new credit card or getting a higher limit is like when you already got bad credit? It's like putting on perfume without taking a shower. It's like putting on cologne coming straight from the gym after an hour cardio workout, okay? That's not how this whole situation works. You need to take a better look at the whole situation, right? And for me, that's saying, hold on one second, let's take a step back. You didn't get here overnight. It's gonna take some time to really dig through this thing. First of all, let's stop the bleeding, okay? Before we can even go into surgery, before we can even do, assess and put you under the x-ray machine, before we can even, look at your medical history and look at your lineage and figure out, we need to stop the bleeding, all right? So first of all, we gotta look at two things that we don't like talking about in our community. The first one is discipline, and the second is sacrifice. If you're really serious about getting yourself together from a financial and a credit perspective, you're not going to do it without exercising discipline and exercising sacrifice, okay? 9 times out of 10, we don't need another financial blessing, church folks. We don't need God to do nothing else. He done already done enough. We need some discipline in our life, okay? We don't need another blessing. We need discipline in our life. That's what we need, okay? So once you get your mindset wrapped around the fact that it's going to take some time to get this thing right and really move this train forward the way it's got to move, your old habits have got to stop. Your spending has got to stop. What put you in this situation has got to stop, okay? All the excuses as to what you can and what you can't do have got to stop, okay? Oh, but I'm a single mother. Oh, I don't have this. Oh, my kids need that. I get all that. You see what I'm saying? But if you continue doing what you're doing and you're expecting different results, that is the definition of insanity. And in order for you to move this thing forward the right way, you got to be sane, doc, okay? You got to have some sense about yourself, all right? So the first thing is we have to really do the hard look at what got us to where we are in the first place. That's for anything that we do in life that has to be switched off. Why do we get to where we are? All right. So I don't really help you with that. That's up to you. That's up to you to work out. Okay. Everybody got to work out their own salvation. Okay. With the power that's within them, but that has to be done because we ain't gonna be able to get to the next level, glory to glory, and you still doing all right. The Bible says you cannot put new wine in old wine skins, doc. That's not how that's gonna be able to work out. Okay, you can't still move ahead forward while still, doing the things we used to do. When I was a kid, I thought as a kid, okay, you got to figure some stuff out. You got to love one and hate the other. Okay, you got to be hot or cold. You can't be lukewarm. Amen, Bible readers. Okay, so listen, that's step number 1. All right, number 2, let's look at some of the major items that are on your credit report that really need the attention. Now, if you happen to work with someone like me, for example, and you're on a payment plan, you need to understand by sheer nature of it being a payment plan, okay, your progress is going to move a whole lot slower than somebody who's paid up front, okay? I think you understand why, okay? It doesn't make sense to be out here knocking your credit score up 100 points and you still owe me money. That ain't gonna work out, you see what I'm saying? And I'll be a fool to do that knowing what got you where that ain't, okay? Let's just be honest, all right? So let's be realistic about what our goals are. If you're in a 475 credit score and you're trying to be a first-time home buyer, it's not gonna happen in 3 months. All right, it's impossible. Okay, and I know what you say. Oh, Darius, I want to buy a house. I know you do. I want you to buy a house, but it's not going to happen in 3 months. That's not going to work out. Okay, so we got to be very realistic about what it is we're trying to do and how we're going to accomplish that. Okay, so it's going to take some time to work through that, especially when you have a lot of really bad negative history. All right. On top of that, we need to look at, if you do pay up front, for example, we need to look at everything that's going on and look at what's helping your credit score and look at what's hurting your credit score. Amen? What's helping and what's hurting. What's helping you might need to keep, which means that you might need to keep paying on some stuff because it actually is helping your credit score, right? There might be some things that might be in a negative situation. Those things we're gonna go ahead and look at disputing, right? Now, also, you need to understand this is a big factor. It's called utilization, okay? So even though you might be almost maxed out on your credit card, but you're still in good standing with the credit card, we want to keep that account open. You got to pay that account down. You got to find some money, okay? And you got to pay that account down because that's helping your credit score, not hurting you. Now, it may look like it's hurting you because you got to pay more money and you're like, where am I going to get this cash from? But understand, the longer your utilization is over 30%, take it down to 27. Take it down to 15. Take it down to 10. The lower the utilization, the higher the credit score. All right? So a comprehensive look at all those things will help boost your score, okay? Now, again, depending upon how much work we got to do, we got to dig a whole lot, and we got to do a lot of surgery, a lot of removal of dead tissue. We got to do a lot of stuff. That's going to take some time. So you're talking about boosting quickly doesn't always work in that way. So I want you to be realistic about the actual expectation. None of this is going to happen overnight. You didn't get here overnight. You're not going to break these habits overnight. I don't care what you tell yourself. You know, let me just be honest with you. I had weight loss surgery. Y'all know that. I'm looking real good. You done lost the 70-something pounds. I'm looking real nice, right? I look a little different than what I looked last year this time, right? Okay. I told myself, oh, I'm gonna get this weight loss surgery. Now I'm gonna eat everything right. I'm gonna eat carrots and vegetables and broccoli and kale, everything. But you know, the truth is, that Dunkin' Donuts coffee roll go down easy. About half of that go down real easy. Now I know it's not good for me, but I slip up. You see what I'm saying? I need to understand that I can slip up every once in a while, but I can't eat a coffee roll every day. That's gonna reverse all of what I've been through. You see what I'm saying? It's gonna reverse myself all over again. So you gotta understand what got you to where it got you, right? You gotta know how to move forward and what to leave behind. I'm telling you, them Dunkin' Donuts will get you every single time. And now they got this strawberry lemonade frozen. I know it ain't nothing but sugar, but Lord Jesus, that thing is amazing. Okay, so there you go. So it's not gonna happen quickly. And you have to be very careful. All right. I think that's just about all I have. I think those are all. Well, let me see if I have any more. Let me just check real fast to see if there's any more questions. Hold on one second. And let me just see that I have any more questions. Oh, here's one. All right, here's one. Hold on one second. So someone says to me, and I'm doing this live, so hold on. Let's do this one and then we'll end out with that one. All right, someone says, how do I negotiate with a collector to lower a debt? How do I negotiate with a bill collector to lower a debt? Look at your neighbor and say, don't negotiate at all, okay? Don't negotiate at all. Please do not negotiate at all, okay? The moment you start negotiating, that's gonna be used against you and you're gonna be stuck with that bad credit, that bad debt. Trying to get it disputed is gonna be so difficult, all right? So please, if you're working on restoring your credit, or just know this, if you have bad debt and collectors are reaching out to you, or the collection company has reached out to you and say, okay, well just pay 40%, just pay 50% or whatever you owe, just know that you're putting yourself in a really bad situation when you do that. So be careful when it comes to doing that, all right? So someone did just ask a question, and they wanted to know really quickly, what do I mean when I talk about utilization? I'm just deleting some of these questions, y'all. Give me 2 seconds. So when I talk about utilization, that is one of the factors that the credit bureau will use, credit bureaus will use to help boost your credit score, your credit report, right? So utilization is simply how much credit you have available to you versus how much credit you've actually used, all right? So how much credit is available to you versus how much credit you've used. So we can do simple math to figure this whole thing out. So let's just say that you have someone who has, let's call it $10,000 on one credit card available to them, right? So let's just say that person has granted a credit card from Chase. Chase gave them a $10,000 credit limit, and now they haven't used that card at all. So right now they literally have zero used. There's no money used of that $10,000, so they're at zero utilization. That is the best scenario you could be at. But let's say you go out and you have to go buy a couch, or you have to go buy maybe a set of tires for your car, right? And that costs you, let's call it $2,000, right? So now you've used 20%, okay, of the total amount that's due to that you got. So now you're carrying a balance of that total $10,000. So now you're at 20%. All right. So here we go. 20% versus zero. You're still okay, but your credit score is going to dip some because the credit bureaus say, "Oh, you've used some of that credit. You're not at zero anymore. So as a penalty now, we've got to dip your score." All right. Now watch this. Watch this. Could you pay it off and your credit score go back up? Right? So let's say you paid off the $2,000, right? And then you go, okay, I paid it off. What happens when your score doesn't increase, right? That's the difference between your due date and your reporting date, all right? So the day the money's due to your creditor, your credit card bill is due, is one day, okay? The day your credit card company reports to the credit bureau is a whole nother day. So let's just say, for my example, for me would be my credit card with Chase is due to Chase on the 30th of every month, but Chase doesn't report until the 15th. Right? So if I'm carrying a high balance, and I normally carry very high balances simply because I'm running multiple businesses, I got a lot of expenses, right? And I want my points. So if I'm carrying a high balance on my credit card and from the previous month, but I plan to pay it off before the 30th, but Chase is already reported to the credit bureau on the 15th, my credit score dips down. So that means if I don't want my credit score to dip down, I need to make sure I pay that off before the reporting date. And to find out your reporting date, you just call your credit company, your credit card company, and say, when do you report to the credit bureau? Or if you're like me, I use Credit Check Total. I know when they're going to report and when it's going to update. All right. So that's what utilization is. So if you go out and you spend $2,000 and you don't pay it off, now you're at 20% utilization. Still not horrible, but not good either, right? It's like the mid-range. Now, let's say you added two more $1,000 on top of that, right? So now you owe $4,000 out of the total $10,000. Now you're at 40% utilization. It's really bad now because the credit bureaus don't want you to go past 30%. So when you get to a point and you're at 40%, now your score is really going to go down until it's paid off. So you got to be very careful when you're using your credit cards to know that, listen, my credit card is not free cash. At some point, I have to pay this money back, right? And if I'm carrying a high balance for a long period of time and I get myself into a situation, not only am I paying interest on this stuff, which is more money that I have to pay, but also now my credit score is taking a dip because I'm not paying it off before, or bringing it under 30%, or bringing it back down to zero, okay, before the reporting time. So you got to know. So that's what utilization is all about. And that's why it's super important to understand where you are with what you're spending, how much is available to you, which is why I talked about in the beginning, I talked to you about if you have a credit card that's in good standing, but you kind of owe on it, but it helps you out in the long run, you might want to keep that credit card going because it's going to help out your percentage of utilization. All right. So there you go. We've done this again yet another time. Listen, for those of you who have any questions about what it is that I do and you're curious to know the process, there's a website, above701.com. It's right below on your screen. You can go to above701.com. There's FAQs on the website. If you guys have any questions for me, you can inbox me. It's a lot of y'all, and it's one of me, so I'm gonna do the best I can to get to everybody's question, but it's a lot of y'all, okay? It's a lot. You can always email me, info@above701.com, or Darius@DariusCooks.com, and I'll be willing to help you guys out, all right? I want us all to win. You cannot be fly with bad credit, all right? And we've been in a situation where it's been way too long. We need to break these generational curses of this bad wealth and this bad financial situation and this bad credit. You cannot be a boss, whatever you want to call yourself, and having bad credit. It just don't go together, okay? You've been in a situation for way too long. Let's work to get our situations a lot better than what they are. That way, you get access to what you want, not what they want to give you. Let me say that one more time. That way, you get access to what you want, not what they want to give you. I detest the mentality, I'm just gonna do this a little bit until I can do better, or I'm just gonna get what I can while I can get it, or I'm just gonna do no, hell no. Okay, those other our other brothers and sisters, okay, they go and they get what they want because they have good credit. There's no reason the field should not be level. There's no reason we should not go and get access to the same funding, to the same programs, to the same opportunities if we align ourselves the same way financially. A credit application doesn't have your race on it, all right? A credit application doesn't have your race, all right? Plain and simple. All right, I love y'all. Again, if you guys have questions, you know how to reach me. Let's just say this, 2 things I want to tell you, as I always do. Food is my life, in this case, credit as well. I want to wish y'all happy cooking and happy good finances, okay? From my heart to yours.